Right, good morning, early morning for me, maybe not so much for people around the world, but we are here with Game 2 between Humbugh and Locke. Humbugh did win the first game of the series. If Locke does manage to win this race, Game 3 will be immediately after this race. It'll be a double header. So my name is Etium. I'm joined today by Sailor Nep. How are you doing, Nep?
Doing pretty well. I'm kind of looking forward to this one. I'm definitely pretty familiar with both of these runners. They have a tendency to play mystery a lot, so I've run into them before through that.
Okay.
It should be interesting to see them play on a more normal flag set.
Yeah, I've definitely raced Humbugh quite a bit. I'm less familiar with Locke. We do see, though, that in the other side of this group, Chimo did win 2-0 over Bruisefan JP. So the winner of this series will face Chimo.
Yeah, those could be some. Those are going to be some interesting and tough matches for sure. All very good runners in this group.
Yeah, for sure. So we should be getting started very shortly, within the next minute or so. Any particular starting weapon you'd like to see?
Not particularly today. I'd say just about anything looks good. How about you?
I mean, I always love the sword, but Cane of Samaria is always kind of interesting. Cane of Burna is a real tough one because you have to manage your magic very well.
Yeah, as long as you don't get really unlucky with the key rat, though, that one tends not to be too bad. I'd say
Yeah.
just as a personal preference, I don't like that one because the bombs you get a resource, or otherwise you get an item that's going to be important anyway. And then with Burna, it's just nothing.
Yeah, when I first started playing Standard, I hated the bombs opening because I would always run out of bombs. But once you've practiced it, it's actually the best opening.
Bombs are exciting to watch, I think, because just runners doing various high skill setups. It's very exciting.
Yeah, for sure. So we are underway. That was a real quick map check. I didn't quite catch all of it.
Yeah, I'm afraid I didn't quite see that myself. Hopefully we'll get another chance.
We did get a heart piece.
Doors.
We did get a heart piece in Link's house. Yeah, I should mention our tracker Blast Egg, mentioning that we got 3 regular crystals in the light world, and we have a hammer start.
Hammer start's a really solid one. Does that tempered damage per swing, so it's a really nice, reliable weapon to have early. No ammo to get it out either.
Yeah, the hammer will one-shot all the enemies in Escape, except for the ball and chain guard, which takes 2 hammer hits.
Yep, and hey, in the secret passage chest, they're getting 3 bombs, so they don't have to worry about farming or trying to check the prize packs.
Yeah, pretty nice start for these runners. Looks like Locke has got the old palette shuffle on. The new palette shuffle is just so much better than the old one. The old one was just terrible.
They definitely did improve it. It looks nicer. I like the way chest palettes kind of joined in the party. Seeing both runners making short work of the first key guard, just one hammer strike is going to do it. The hammer showing its power and packing quite a punch.
Yep. So we see Humbugh using the Yoshi Sprite. I'm not sure what Sprite that is on Locke's side.
I gotta say, I think it might be the Asana Sprite, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Someone in chat confirming my guess.
Alright, so we do get that small key in the boomerang chest. And our runners will head downstairs to the so-called boss of Escape, the ball and chain guard. Hammer can be deceptively tricky sometimes, especially against the rats and snakes. Well, the rats aren't such a big deal, but the snakes do half a heart of damage. So if you're not careful with your health, like 3 hearts is not that much. And,
Yeah, part of the trick with the hammer is if you're dealing with an enemy that's like a little unpredictable, the best thing you can do is be slightly to the north and then swing left or right at them, because the hammer hitbox is actually like a little bit bigger to the south of where you're swinging than to the north. And just kind of a horizontal motion will just kind of make it easier to capture that.
yeah. If you really want to improve your hammer skills, a good way to do that is to play a few swordless seeds. That'll force you to get good with the hammer pretty quickly.
Yeah, both of these runners do have a decent amount of swordless experience, so they're having no trouble with their hammer situations. Now both of them about even here. Locke has checked the map and humbugh hasn't. That's about all the difference between them so far.
Yeah, pretty much. So we are getting now to the dark rooms, right about the 4:15-ish mark. Pretty solid time.
Yeah, and they're not going to get slowed down by having to farm for bombs, so they get the nice quick escape today.
Yeah, there's our map. So everything left in escape is going to be an item. Taking care of the key rat, and now we got 3 items here in the back of the escape.
Both of them having key rats that played fairly nice.
Alright, so we got a fire rod and a quake medallion. So quake medallion could be important. Fire rod is almost always important. So one issue is no money at all in escape. So they are going to have to be a little careful. Oh wow, there's the ice rock. Okay.
Both rods already. That's definitely got to be a little bit of a relief to both of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that time we got to see the map check. It was just 3 regular crystals in White World.
Yep. So humbugh is going to head up and check the lumberjack here, and Locke is also going to do that.
Yep, so that's the nice thing is when they both make the same move, you know, there's not going to be any advantage or disadvantage yet, so it's going to be a little while before we start to get a feel for how this is going to go.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a sword, a lumberjack, so unlikely that we're ever going to get that, but it may be possible to route it in later on.
Yeah, I'd say the most likely scenario would be they have to do Aga anyway somehow at some point, and then they just get it after that, but that's a little less likely to happen.
Yeah. And
I suppose the other
passing up on the
scenario.
20 rupees there. I think I would pick that up with absolutely no money, but
yeah. It's interesting. You'll see some runners, they want to pick up every little thing they can have early on, and then others, they want to save every little second they can, taking a little bit of risk on as a result.
yeah, for sure.
Both are valid approaches.
Oh,
Yeah, Humbug sees that 8 bomb drop, just turns around, picks it up. And that's understandable. It's nice. That's gonna last a lot longer now.
yeah. Alright, so our first check's in Kakariko here in Blind Hunt now. The boots! Powder. We can turn that powder in right away with the hammer.
Yeah, it's shaping up that these things seem like they're going to be convenient from early in the game. Even with the bottle, you're not going to have to come back to Kakariko early to do extra checks.
Yeah. Yeah, those boots, I mean, we can also even get the library out of the way if that has something. Locke is... What is Locke doing? Oh, he's running up to check bonk rocks.
It's kind of interesting. It's a totally fine thing to do. Meanwhile, we've got the Moon Pro and Kakariko well. So we're just a glove away from Darkhold access at this point.
Ooh, a bow.
So I would say for Locke, it's definitely nice to have early. I don't think it will be too long before Humbug gets it. Usually you'll see like a save and quit and then a run to bonk rocks. But
Yeah.
either way, it's very likely that Eastern Palace will be pretty early on both their nights.
Yeah. Humbug may, like, sometimes you'll see runners maybe try to route in the bonk rocks with going up to Death Mountain, but usually that's kind of wishful thinking.
Yeah, I could see Humbug potentially doing South Shore first to maybe get that extra convenience. And it's also possible that you could see either runner, they get that bow and they think, maybe I want to wait and see if a mirror shows up and I combo and pod if I have to, but it's too early to say.
Yeah. By the way, it shouldn't hurt Humbug too much unless he heads over to the eastern area before getting that bow. So here is that magic bat check. Alright, just 3 bombs there.
Magic Bat proves powder is just a safety today.
Right, so just 2 checks left down south of Pack, Library, and Race Game.
So based on sword location and just everything they have between the 2 runners, at this point it's looking pretty unlikely that we're going to see Aga unless something absurd happens, such as needing a sword for go mode. One of the runners just willing to do it.
Yeah.
But I'd expect to see a glove show up before too long. It's going to be interesting now to see if they're both going to go to South Shore first, or if we might see some early divergence. With Eastern being a crystal, it's not likely to be a big deal either way, as long as Humbug makes sure to get to Bonk Rocks before heading over there, which I expect will happen.
Yeah. Right, we got a fighter shield there at the dam. And just Harpies underneath. And sometimes you'll see runners head over to Agahnim just to get that out of the way, especially with boots. It makes it not as bad a trip. But Humbug's going to opt just to go over to the Northern Cave. And Locke's not going to do South Shore at all. He's headed straight to Eastern.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me too much to see that Eastern boy early.
Yeah, for sure.
With the fire rod, you don't even really have to worry about like, the dark room. You can just hold right, get the torch. It'll be nice.
Yeah. Locke finds out that the green pendant is in Skull Woods. We also saw a hook shot in Mini Moldorm Cave. And there's our glove in the back of Saha's Relic. So that is our Dark World access. But Locke, of course, is going to go ahead and do Eastern first. Might as well.
Yeah, that glove could make things a little interesting because after finishing Eastern, runners are going to be in a position to potentially immediately run to the south and head into Palace of Darkness if they wanted to. But the downside is they don't know what's on the Dark World map. Am I going to commit to an immediate pendant dive? There could be some interesting decisions to make coming very soon.
Yeah. Ooh, flippers there in Ice Rod Cave. That can be a real bad location sometimes. Some runners do put off Ice Rod Cave. Hope to combine it with the flipper checks.
That's possible. Interesting enough, that's also between everything we've collectively seen. We're only missing Mirror for a potential fourth player swamp to be on the table as well.
Yeah. So nothing on Hylia Island. I'm going to check Hobo now. Full heart. And he's not going to bother with any of the other flipper checks. Makes sense when you are not even close to Zor money.
And meanwhile, over in Eastern Palace, Locke has found a mushroom. So that could potentially be interesting because with how much of the world has already opened up for both of these runners, that might not be a high priority to turn in for at least one of them.
Yeah. Wait, what? Okay, so Humbug saved and quit from Hobo and then ran down to here? I don't understand this. Yeah, I really don't understand why I did that. There's an Easter medallion in the Waterfall Ferry.
There's certainly a fairly high amount of unique things showing up in the early part of the world. Talking about Ice Rod Cave, if anyone in the chat happened to say that was where the flippers came from, so that could potentially be missable. Speaking of missable things, Humbug did have to nope out the Zor area after checking the ledge. Doesn't have the money yet. That could or could not be a big deal depending on how things go here.
Oh, Locke is running into trouble and he takes a death. Okay, he has a fairy. That's right, that bottle came with a fairy. Okay, so he should be okay, but he was trying to powder those anti-fairies, but unfortunately, it kind of got away from him.
Yeah, that can happen. Sometimes the little invisible Popo in the dark will hit you, and then the anti-fairies catch up. Things get out of hand quickly. It doesn't happen often, but it can, especially when you don't have a sword.
Oh no, Humbug. Okay, he went over to Saha and then didn't have the bow, so he's going to save and quit from there. And it looks like he's not going to do bonk rocks right now.
Yeah, so this is potentially pretty interesting. We're going to see some early Dark World checks from Humbug. Presumably get the Dark World map check. We don't know Skullwoods is the green pendant, but we have 2 red crystals and 2 other pendants to learn about.
Oh. Okay, we got all our pendants on the left side of the world, with the green pendant at Skull and the other 2 at Mire and Thieves Town, and I think the red crystals were Swamp and Ice.
So with that possibility, the flippers could end up starting to be a big deal very quickly if Minster or Mirror show up. Well, there we go. That's one of the 2.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me to see... Oh, wow, there's Keen. And a bottle with some green goo in there. Let's see, it's just giving us all kinds of stuff right now.
Yep. Not a single sword yet, but plenty of others.
Yeah.
And it looks like Humbug seems to intend to take this to Swamp immediately. I think that is a pretty good call from
Yeah.
his position with his items.
Yeah, for sure. 6 items in Swamp, plus it is a red crystal.
Yeah, downside is if you don't fight a sword, you're going to be doing Hammer Argus, which that can be kind of slow, but this is still a really good play from this position.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Locke not saving and quitting seems to intend to head to pod right away, and that's going to work out with it being crystal.
Yeah, so the only issue is, you know, with no lamp, no sword, those pod dog rooms can be very, very difficult. We do have the fire rod, so we can at least light the torches in the rooms that have torches, but not all of them have torches.
Yeah. Now, the downside to this play for Locke is that not getting that mirror from Hyde Cave first is going to have to do Death Warps, which, you know, there's always the small risk that you'll get a piece of heart at a bad spot and be inconvenienced, but overall that shouldn't matter too much.
And so with, anyway, with knowing all our pen and crystal info, we can actually count up what we need for go mode, which is really not that much at this point. We are going to need another glove, and we're going to need to find 2 swords. And we might need bomb boats for Turtle Rock. But
Yeah,
other than that,
the seed has been very generous up to this point. And with so much open right now, that could lead to a lot of interesting divergence, which we're already seeing a fair amount with Pod being fairly deep in the pod for the second crystal, and Humbug being pretty far into the swamp dive so far.
so scratch all those dark room problems. We have the lamp in the first room of Pod.
Yeah, and without a sword having shown up yet, for Locke in particular, that's going to be really good right now, because even though it's not too hard to do the Dark Maze when you're at the skill level these runners are, it still can be inconvenient to do some of the navigation without a sword.
So we do have an interesting question in chat. With that sword on Lumberjack, would anyone go for it if it's your go mode item? And I would say, I mean, it depends. I would say, like, you know, if you have a lot of places left to check, you might consider going for it. But at the same time, you know, you always have GT available, and there's very often going to be a sword in GT. And you have to go to GT anyway.
The most aggressive thing you would see from that would be a runner might go mode stuff partially, doing most of the checks on the way, and then if a sword doesn't show up by the end, then they go for it. But I wouldn't expect it sooner.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable.
And speaking of things that would be needed for go mode, Bombos has shown up, so medallions, the runners are going to be set very quickly, at least in the case of Humbug.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because there was only one item on left side swamp. So if Locke, you know, often runners will go to the back of swamp first and then make a decision on whether or not to do left side. And if Locke does that, he's probably not going back in for just one item. So we'll have to wait and see what the Turtle Rock medallion is, but that could be critical later on.
So both these runners making their way deeper into their respective dungeons. Locke taking the extra chance to check on a little bit of his money. So between Pod and Eastern, so far we have found 2 fetch quests with the Mushroom in Eastern and now the Shovel the Pod Dark area.
Oh, there's a sword. Harmless all way. Alright.
Well, there we go. That's why. So pretty much any concerns equipment-wise that Locke might have had coming in to this dungeon between the lamp and the sword must have washed away.
Yeah, for sure. Humbug, meanwhile, gonna have to do a menu fight very slow. But, it's your best option when you don't have a sword.
Yeah, Humbug definitely having to do this the slow way, but is handling it well, and fortunately has a menu shape that isn't too much of a mess to deal with.
Yeah.
In this nice double hit.
Locke without that mirrors, having to blow himself up to death warp.
Locke heads on Humbug. Humbug is getting almost out of the more tedious phase of this fight. We'll see what strat he goes for. Likely going for the more hammerheads for phase 2. Doesn't have a lot of ammo with the fire rod to work with. He's going for that, I understand.
Yeah, he just has enough for one shot. Could use the green potion, but why bother when you can just use the hammer?
This is kind of interesting that both runners are, when they go to these dungeons, are going to get time saves along on there. Humbug is going to have the advantage of having cancel Maria to do things like depressing that switch in the statue room more quickly. But Locke's going to have a sword and not going to have to deal with that mess on Argus.
Yep. Alright, so Humbug now, I assume gonna run over and do Stumpy and Big Game, and then he can probably just mirror and run up and then go through the portal into Thieves Town.
Yeah, that's one option. It's also possible that Humbug might decide to swerve the other way, which could be bad if Bonkrox doesn't get checked.
Yeah, I don't see him going to Pod this early, though, with no bow.
Yeah, with no sword, Thieves Town Skullwoods, those 2 pendants aren't looking too hot either. Another possibility is that Humbug might choose to sequence break up the mountain. Try for fortune there.
Yeah, so if he does that, I assume he'll probably grab Bonkrox on the way.
There are just so many interesting possible decisions here with how many things are open. It's like we have so much, and yet it's almost too much.
Locke taking a few hits, but dealing with that hammer Helmasaur quite well. And gets him down.
When it comes to a tough boss fight, not dying is all that matters sometimes. And that's definitely the truth there. And yeah, with Humbug saving Quinn, probably finally get that bow. And might continue on the planned path or immediately go to those detectives.
Yeah. Maybe he'll, if I was him, I'd probably just like run up and get Old Man and then maybe save and quit from there. Oh, he's not even gonna do that.
An immediate change of mind. That's understandable.
And Locke running the long way out of Pod. Looks like he wants to continue on and do Pyramid Ledge to Catfish. I'm heading back into the South Portal. I guess he's going to Pod this way.
I was being asked in chat about Locke managing to kind of do an unusual-looking hammer hit on Helmasaur. Essentially, storing a spin speed or quick speed will largen the hitbox of the hammer.
Oh, can you do that with spin speed? I thought you needed the hook shot.
Yeah, you can do spin speed.
Okay.
Okay, not finding anything up there. So, Locke's going to be getting that mirror soon. And so they'll probably be tracing each other's steps for now.
Yeah. Wait, has Locke not done any Moldorm here?
I believe that might be the case. I don't think Locke has touched South Shore yet. It's spent so much time in the Eastern Pod Path.
So he'll get the mirror here and then maybe have the option to do all the South Shore checks. But he doesn't have the flipper, so he can't go into the swamp.
That's true, so I guess it'll come down to if Locke decides to run over towards the Dark Village, or... Oh, yeah, that's what's happening. Interesting.
Yeah, this is some very unorthodox riding from Locke. It could pay off. Maybe he finds something in, Thieves Town or Skirwoods that Humbug doesn't find for a while.
It makes sense. I mean, both runners have to feel like they have a lot of stuff at this point, and they do.
Yeah. Chat points out we do need desert access, so we're gonna need either a flute or book for that.
So this could be sort of a moment of truth for Locke here. Really depends after this digging game. What's he going to do? Does he save and quit and go to South Shore? Does he follow into the Dark Village? This could be a real big moment in terms of that.
Yeah, I think Locke may be kind of putting off South Shore, hoping to get Zor money. I don't know, because he's definitely been picking up all the money he can find.
Yeah, that could very well be the case. That's a good catch. I like that.
So Locke now looks to be heading towards the mountain. Unfortunately, without that hook shot, well, he can still do most of the mountain, actually, with the hammer and mirror. But if the other glove is up there, he may be isolating Hookshot Cave, depending on whether or not he can hover. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, and another interesting possibility is if the mitts were up here, but there's also, say, the flute, then that could also change things very quickly. It could be a while before Locke gets the flippers, depending.
Well, yeah, I mean, the one thing about the flute is that it makes getting to Ice Rock Cave much quicker.
On the other hand, as well, you find so much stuff, and I would say Locke has no reason to feel behind if this mountain ends up going well. At that point, looking for a sword, you're very likely to hit up at least minimal cave. So it's hard to call. But I think I wouldn't expect a big swing this early.
Oh, there's the other bow. And Locke's gonna pass up on it.
Well, it would turn into 20 rupees in his hands, so that's a good call on his part.
Oh yeah, that's right, it's hard. Totally forgot about that.
It's okay, I bet in the moment I'd probably go grab it while I was playing.
Yeah, he used to...
showing the medallion strat says, I've had enough of these turtles. I like it.
I was gonna say, I seem to remember it used to be that the second bow would just show up as 20 rupees, but is that like a change of newer version or something?
I couldn't say exactly. Usually it does show up as 20 rupees, but when it appears in plain sight spots, it seems to be the bow these days. Something that's a little fortunate for Locke at this point is not having the hookshot, can't get the Herapod straps, but gets a big key without resistance, so it's only going to lose a little bit of time to that.
Yeah. Humbug takes down Helmosaur. Have we seen any items in here yet?
I don't believe so, but we had to have seen at least one at this point. Which means it must not have been anything important. Oh, okay, so no, we haven't seen it according to the chat. Because they're saying items in basement.
Oh no.
Oh,
Locke getting
be kinder than that.
yeah. Alright, Locke gets one down.
Yeah, that second attempt went a lot better.
So there's 50 rupees on the boss, and who's Locke gonna do the basement?
I feel like that would be a very tough call in that position because Locke hasn't even checked South Shore yet, so it's not the most informed decision either way. And it looks like he's just gonna keep being thorough.
Yeah, I think if you decide to come up to the mountain before doing like South Shore and all that kind of stuff, I think you kind of have to full clear it. Because otherwise, why are you coming up here?
Sing in chat because of the view. I like that. Like having a nice easy tile room using the invulnerability frames. I wonder if this is going to pay off. Even if it doesn't, probably not too big a deal. Well, if Locke was hoping for money, that could lead him to just fully clearing out the South Shore area.
Yeah. Yeah, if Zora does turn up with something, that could be huge. Because Humbug has isolated that spot. Nothing on Floating Island, so we're going to do Spiral Cave and Paradox. Single rupee and Spiral Cave.
one advantage to the more thorough routing from Locke up to this point is that if he continues to stick with it, he's sure not to miss the items that he's just not gotten to yet.
Yeah.
But if there's nothing here on this mountain, then we will know at least that a pendant dungeon or VOO trip is very likely coming soon from one of these runners.
Yeah. Well, not a whole lot in Paradox Cave. We do get half magic, which is nice, but not required. Locke finally now heading down South Shore.
Well, humbugh prioritizing the fetch quests, at least in the case of the shovel.
Yeah, we've not seen anyone turn in that mushroom yet, even though it was technically Sphere 1. Just another shield there at the dig spot.
So even though it did lead to a fairly late South Shore check, I would say that overall I've liked the way that Locke has routed this. Just immediately having access to multiple dungeons and getting them out of the way. I think that worked out pretty favorably, even if there's still some things that were missed out on for a while. And now he's catching back up. As long as he doesn't save him quite out of here, this should be pretty good for him.
Yeah, and I don't see why he would.
So with this, Locke is going to be gaining focus from Iceheart Cave. They will be just about even on items, except for the 2 medallions. And we'll see how soon Locke decides to go to Swamp. And with that, Locke doing Swamp, humbugh doing Mount, both of these runners will be about caught up to each other, and we'll get a sense of which of them is in the lead with any luck.
Yeah.
That said, Locke is doing these flippers checks now. I don't believe we saw Zora, so there's a small chance that we could get some new information here.
Yeah, it'll be real interesting if Zora has something, because Humbugh's got that hard isolated, but at the same time, that Bombos medallion, you know, the single item on left side swamp, that could be something that Locke misses.
Now, Mitch show up first. That will open up everything but desert. And depending on where they are at the time when they get them, for example, if they're in Thieves Town, they might suddenly find themselves in the position of, do I stay here and finish this dungeon case, or do I immediately leave and take my chances of my Ganon stuff being locked behind the myths I just found?
Yeah. I think, like, when you're this few items from Domo, you probably want to just skip the back of Thieves. But, oh no, Humbugh taking a fall down the middle hole.
Yeah, Humbugh unfortunately getting the worst of the 2 falls there. Mulder has just been so unkind this evening. Or morning, perhaps.
So Locke coming up on the Sora check. And just a heartbeat.
Okay, so if you're rooting for Humbug, that's definitely good news. Not going to be required one isolated check.
Nope. So Locke now gonna go do Swamp.
Alright, so based on the time that Humbug is going to finish these mountain checks, I'd say I'd place Humbug maybe about almost maybe 3 minutes ahead, if I'm not guessing wrong.
Yeah, I mean he's got a full Swamp clear. But Locke, I think, has done a few extra overworld checks. Like, he's done Catfish and Pyramid, which were nothing, but he does have them out of the way.
Yeah, that difference could shorten a bit if Humbug does those checks eventually. If not, however, this is a solid lead for him at the moment.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, both of them have kind of gotten away from the position of Spike Cave, which it's understandable. It's not very appealing right now because with no invincibility item, there's no really check in.
Yeah. Spike Cave is definitely one of the toughest checks in the game to route in. Like, unless you are able to do it on your first trip to the mountain, it often gets just left for a long time.
Yeah, and in this case, that's understandable with it not being in logic, but it would be inconvenient if they had to go into a pen dungeon while they find the vulnerability.
Yeah.
So, just out of a sense of a runner's spirit, I'll hope that it's not that for them. And Bombos is on left side swamp, so we're not going to be too long before we find out what decision Locke makes with regards to that. We still don't know, and won't know for perhaps a while if that matters.
Yeah. And it looks like Humbug is going to also go back in and do a Para Basement. So neither runner getting an advantage out of this dungeon. So in terms of stuff we haven't seen anything in the Skull Woods village area. So there's a lot of checks there.
Yeah, and potential for divergence, depending if a pendant deep dive is required. Who chooses which one?
Yeah. We haven't seen Agahnim, I don't think. And we haven't seen the mushroom turn in either. But, oh, look at this. Humbug's going to do Spike Cave. I guess he still has that fairy. Yeah, Locke, unfortunately, used that fairy in Eastern.
I like this. I mean, Humbug is standing down at pick a pendant time, pretty much, so getting this is sort of a Hail Mary to maybe get ahead of the logic if it's me. It's a good call.
Yeah, question in chat, is Spike in logic with bottles? No. It is only in logic with an invincibility item, basically Kinnaburna or Cape, and with a magic extension, which could be a bottle or in this case, we have half magic as well.
Seeing just a moment's indecisiveness for Humbug, was going to go to Link's house, but then decided, no, it's Sanctuary. So I think it's time we're finally going to see the western side of the Dark World.
No, hearts are not taken into account for Spike Cave. You're supposed to be able to get through it without taking any damage. Like, logically. I think in older versions of the randomizer, there was a logical implication for heart containers, but not anymore. Alright, so Humbug gonna be our first runner to the village area. I mentioned, if I were him, I'd probably start with the village and then go up into Skull Woods. But no, he's not gonna do that.
Yeah, this is fairly interesting. I think perhaps maybe the allure of the green pendant is calling.
Yeah. I guess he figures he's probably going to kill Moth anyway, so may as well just start with it. Locke going to have a much faster fight here, using those fighter sword spins. Not the easiest technique to do, but it's definitely faster than the menu strat. Locke not having much trouble with it.
Yeah, meanwhile, we're seeing Humbug just going straight to the boss, and I think that could partly be stemming from the advantage of being up a game, feeling like you can afford to gamble a little bit and just see game 3 if it doesn't go well.
Yeah. Like, it could be, yeah. But at the same time, I mean, when you have no crystals to do, you may as well just full clear the pendants. Well, there's our first item, just 20 rupees. So the ideal thing for Humbug would be if the second item is on Moth, and then you just never have to touch the front to go with.
Yeah, that certainly would be nice. And with a small key not having shown up in the chest yet, there's a reasonable chance of that happening.
Locke heading over now to the desert area. Just gonna check the ledge and then do a Gina.
Just nobody really feeling Thieves Town today, I suppose.
Nothing at Agahnim. Yeah, Pedestal is pretty much dead. I mean, there is that extreme long shot chance that all the swords are locked behind it, but that's so unlikely that it's not even worth thinking about.
Yeah, and I just want to say that was a quite nice Hammermoth fight from Humbug, just get done in a snap.
Yeah, definitely.
That's always an impressive fight to see done really well and quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it does partly rely on RNG, but you still have to be pretty well practiced at that fight to, you know, take advantage of the RNG.
Oh, both of them preferring Skull Woods here.
Yeah, I guess the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to do Skull first. And we see another red rupee. So that's it for Skull Woods. I think, yeah, it does kind of make sense to do Skull Woods first, because that way, like, when you go down to Thieves Town, you have a better... You have more information to help you make your decision of whether or not to go to the back of Thieves Town.
Yeah, granted, the same is true of doing the reverse order.
Yeah. I mean, there's pros and cons to every route. But Humbugh not going to touch the village just yet. He's going to do a Graveyard Ledge, and then I guess he can also get King's Tomb, and he might just jump over and do Catfish and Zora.
Yeah, so now I would expect Humbug, if not finding anything here in Kingstone, to go to the village next. But it is possible to choose to do, say, a Catfish run, a Green Pendant Tournament, that sort of stuff too. But it comes with the cost if you do that of having to run to the village the long way again if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, especially without those Titans myths. That just adds a bunch of extra time getting back to the village.
indeed, and it does look like we are going to finally see the village. So between the dungeon and the 3 houses, there's going to be 7 items there. Pretty good chance progression will finally show up. Meanwhile, Locke, down to 1 heart in this moth fight, is going to have to rely on Fire Rod strats.
Gets
it done.
Yeah. Humbug laying a bomb a little bit too early. So our runner's now even on dungeons. Humbug maybe a little bit ahead in the village checks, though.
Yeah, I'd say so. At this point, it also seems pretty unlikely that the Pyramid and Catfish will come into play for Humbug. So, while it can't be said for certain, he does seem to be pretty firmly a little bit ahead at this point.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're essentially just looking for the myths. And we do need another sword, but... Oh, no, wait, we need the desert access as well. That's true. So, Fleur Book and myths. Oh, there's our flute.
Well, there we go. At this point, myths are going to be go mode minus a sword.
Yeah. Well, it is go mode if you count the sword and lumberjack.
And see, that's the thing. They don't have the cape yet, so they can't get that sword until they find at least the cape.
That's true, yeah.
No, granted, that's not likely to be a problem, because the only reason you'd have to strictly do that is if the other 2 swords were both on tablets.
And there's the myths in Deep Town. Holy crap, let's see. Okay.
Now, just looking for a sword at this point, it'll be interesting to see exactly what Humbug does. Goes, there are different strats. You could keep full clearing, you could go aggressive and just clear the most convenient places.
Yeah.
Some people might even skip a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely do desert first, and maybe check like Mireshed and Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah, and it seems like Locke is going to probably trace the same path. Will be behind in short order, and this could just come down to who stumbles into the sword first.
Yeah.
I'd say up to this point, the main things that have worked out have just been the convenience of being able to do Pod and Eastern in one go, not having done Pyramid and Catfish. Just those things have added up to little time saves that have put Humbug in the lead. They've both been playing fairly strong games.
Yeah. I would definitely say Humbug's execution has been better than Locke's, but not by a huge amount.
Fortunately, the chest Thieves Town having the items they did in the order they did, the flute isn't going to unlock anything, so there's no chance that once Locke goes in that he will mirror and head out that way.
Yeah. That'd be a little crazy.
It's unlikely it would happen anyway if the mitts came first, but it wouldn't be impossible to envision someone getting overexcited and just deciding to go for it.
Yeah. Locke making an interesting decision here. Going to turn in this mushroom.
This could be interesting. If this happened to be a sword, that would be a huge swing.
Yeah. No, it's nothing.
That was kind of a cool way to turn that into just drop that portal, do your little run, and then head back.
Yeah.
Nice heads-up routing from Locke in that sense.
So humbug up to normal. Not gonna get the one cycle, but finishes it off pretty quickly on the second cycle.
Yeah, there are actually going to be a decent number of chances for a sword from here on out.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you end up opening most of the chests in TR. I wouldn't be surprised to see them just take the Dark Portal into the mountain on the way to TR so that they can check Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave on the way.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And even Ice Palace, I mean, if I'm looking for a sword, I'd probably open every chest except for maybe Ice Tea Room.
Yeah, there are ample opportunities for them to just stumble into at this rate.
Nothing in checkerboard.
Now, another potential sword location would be if Locke decides to do the Smith Chain before heading out of this area. I think it won't happen, but it could.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you don't even think about doing Smith Chain.
Probably not. It's understandable, given both the way they routed that they got to Thieves' Town as late as they did. But they also are both aware that they did Skullwoods and the Northern Dark World for nothing.
Yeah.
So they could potentially be feeling behind them, like they don't have the luxury of doing those.
Alright, so there's those mitts for Locke. And both the runners now just looking for a sword. Humbug now heading into Ice Palace.
This is actually a very good live. Just how long that flute activation cutscene is.
Yeah.
You can get 3 Ice Palace runes done.
Well, there's a bug now.
So in terms of nice little optional safeties, they're going to be feeling set here.
Yeah.
So far, though, Locke just continuing to follow the same path Humbug has. All understandable, but it's just, at this moment, not doing him any favors.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be kind of tough for Locke to catch up at this point. But again, with the runners not in go mode, anything can happen.
Yeah, there's plenty of potential for interesting swerves.
And of course, there's always GT routing. It can always have some effect, but
Yeah,
I don't know if it'll be enough.
one nice thing is with the icebreaker, humbugh can check most of the chests here on the critical path of Ice Palace just immediately.
Yeah.
Has actually found, I believe, 2 of the 3 items so far with the bug net and the 3 bombs in the spike room. Even not being a go, I think humbugh is going to feel very comfortable just skipping Ice Tea room here.
Yeah. Yeah, Ice Tea Room, pretty much the only check in Ice that's not on the way when you're doing Icebreaker.
Yeah, it's unfortunately just a little too long.
Yeah, chat talking about now. If you get the cape and there's no sword in GT, I think you definitely just do Aga after GT. But nice combo of the fire rod and hammer strats and cold stare for a very quick fight. And we did get the third item there, so no worries about Ice Tea. Yeah, so Humbug now heading up the mountain. Yeah, like you said, I think it would make a lot of sense to go up Super Bunny Cave and just get those. There's six really quick checks you can get on the way to Turtle Rock. Locke with the a very pink Ice Palace. And we finally get to find out what the Turtle Rock medallion is, even though it doesn't matter at this point. It's Ether.
So is Ether. So at this point, Left Side Swamp wasn't actually required. That Bombos was just a nice tea.
Yeah. So both runners may be also feeling a little bit bad about that as well. So both of them having done Left Side Swamp and Skull Woods for nothing.
Now, given how early that the Swamp Full Clear was available in terms of where you were likely to go, I think both of them probably think their opponent must have full cleared that at least.
Yeah, I mean,
I think if they're feeling bad, if anything, it's going to be the Skullwoods play that they're worried over.
yeah. And so we do have a early big key in Turtle Rock, which gives the runners the option of skipping Mimic Cave in the big chest.
Yeah, as well as the big key chest. That could be, with all of GT, Hookshot Cave, Super Bunny still out there, it might feel like those slower checks are too slow, but we'll see. Depends on
Yeah.
how much the runner feels like playing with fire today.
Oh, there's an item in Chain Chomps. Locke now with his 6th crystal, a nice palace, and should be heading up the mountain shortly.
Yeah, they're just continuing to be pretty much just on each other's trail here. One thing that could be interesting is if Locke decides to do the checks before heading into TR.
Oh, Humbug is going to do the big key chest. And it's just a compass. So this locks him in basically to checking the big chest, because if there's a small key there, you need it.
Yeah, at this point, skipping the big chest would be more or less off the table. Which also means that unless that happens to have a sword, we'll see a check of Mimic Cave as well. Since you're there, I don't think you skip it.
Yeah.
And in fact, Humbug here checking Mimic first, just committing to that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, saves a couple of screen transitions compared to doing the big chest first. And there's a sword.
Well, there we go. It happened to pay off this time.
I know it's just random coincidence, but I've been seeing swords in Mimic Cave a ridiculous percentage of the time lately. And
Wow,
yeah,
seems like there's a sword in Mimic Cave 100% of this race.
So that is full go mode for Humbug. And for Locke to really stay in this race, he has to do Mimic Cave.
Yeah, now if another sword doesn't show up, they'll both be doing the Master Sword Ganon, which that'll be a little slower, and it can be tough at times, especially when maybe you're not sure whether you feel ahead or not. That extra added pressure, it can be a little distracting.
Yeah.
So we'll see how these runners hold it together and give it their best with that.
Yeah, especially like not having that cape means you you have to do the tougher version of it. Maybe these runners know some Mario strats, I don't know.
Yeah, or perhaps another sword just shows up. Speaking of, Humbug's not going to be checking for that. Gets that key and says, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And Humbug doing the strats from behind, getting the fire head down very quickly, and just showing a really quick Master Sword to try next fight.
And unfortunately, on Locke's side, he is going to be skipping the big key chest here, and most likely Mimic Cave as well. So Locke is in real bad shape now.
Yeah, unfortunately that does mean that Locke won't be able to hope for Tempered here.
Yeah.
So if another sword does appear on the path, it's not going to add an advantage, say perhaps a laser bird sword. Yeah, it looks like everyone in chat is putting out their big key guessing game guesses. I'm gonna guess just the torch, just specifically the torch, no number.
I'll go with number 22 just to keep this interesting.
Well, there we go. Pretty much opposite sides there, and a lot in between the chat. So good luck, everybody.
It's kind of funny that Humbug skipped the rest of Laser Bridge, but is going in for Hookshot Cave. So Locke, of course, not in go mode, so he is going to be checking the rest of Laser Bridge. But there's nothing there.
Well, that seems to have worked out for Humbug here. That's unfortunate here because we know there's no sword in Hookshot Cave, so Locke will likely invest extra time doing Super Bunny as well.
Alright, Humbug heading left first. There's Arcana Burna, and Humbug is actually going to pick that up. Could come in handy on Ganon if you get into trouble.
And that's understandable. Humbug did also take some additional damage on the way over from the Lionel, so sitting on 7 hearts, I think it's understandable to have it as a peace of mind item.
Yeah. Alright, 3 small keys and a Stealthless Room.
Alright, so we'll be seeing the strats where they mirror and go right. And Hope Room, what do we got? 10 bombs and green potion. And Humbug is going to continue, surely skipping Tower Room along the way, and we'll be heading up to the Compass Room in just a moment. Meanwhile, Locke is taking down Trinix on the right side. Very solid fight. And we're going to probably find out in a moment if Super Bunny has a sword to at least make it possible for Locke to catch up a little bit.
Well, there's our cape.
So hey, with the cape and the burner, there was never a need to check Spike Cave, unfortunately. And the unfortunate bit here is that Locke at this point is going to just be down a sword no matter what. If another sword shows up here, it's going to give Humbug tempered.
Yeah.
That said, it was very understandable making the choice to skip the slower checks in TR in favor of all this density on the way.
Oh yeah, I would do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, both choices were quite understandable. I'm seeing it in chat that Mim's quick. I think sort of the mentality that this comes from is that it's not that it's necessarily like a slow check-in, like the grand scheme of things, but when you're comparing it to like the as of yet unseen Hookshot Cave from their perspective at the time it takes to check that, or things like just there are 3 rooms in GT that have 4 chests in them with the Compass Room, DM's room, Randomizer room.
Yeah.
So just compared to that, the 1 check in Mimic Cave suddenly doesn't sound so good. So it's a tough call either way.
Yeah, I mean, I was more thinking about like the whole like Mimic Cave, big chest and big chest basically, you either do all those or you do none of them.
How about doing very solid setup here with the ice armor strat? Just firing basically 2 extra arrows, but not really going to matter here. Getting that big key, ice armors. That means we're just going to be heading here, and unfortunately, no sword.
Yeah. So maybe there'll be one upstairs, but it's gonna take a lot of luck and some big mistakes from Humbug for Locke to have much hope here.
And speaking of good luck, congratulations to Brewers fan JP for guessing number 20. Good job. Now, Locke getting to this big key a little faster, that creates a bit of an interesting decision for him. Does he want to just climb upstairs and take the chances on that? I would expect, still missing the sword, probably we're going to see right side from Locke as well, though.
Yeah, it's 4 checks. And that is where the cape was, too.
Well, that's interesting. Locke's actually going to check the big chest.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You rarely see the GT big chest. Oh, it is a sword.
Oh, no way! We may have a race still. Humbug is unquestionably ahead, but now it's going to come down to who can hold it together during the Ganon fight.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
And Humbug taking a little bit of damage going up the gauntlet. I'm not sure if he has any sort of health potions. Wow, he's taking a lot of damage. Okay, oh right, he has the powder, so he should be okay.
So no matter what result here, we got to see this morning somebody get their Go Mode item from the GT Big Chest. That's really rare and exciting.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if Locke had done Mimic, I don't think Locke would have still opened the GT Big Chest. Just doesn't seem worth it at that point. Who knows?
Yeah.
That could maybe be a question for the interview. What would you have done if you could have decided differently?
Humbug now up to the Helmer room. He's gonna probably check for tempered up here, but not gonna find it. We know where all the swords are.
Yeah, so that's just a little bit of time Locke will get back, not having any reason to open the chests up here. Well, actually, now that I think about it, no, Locke doesn't know the location of the 4 sword either, so he'll definitely open them. I have to correct myself there.
Humbug on to mobile 2 now. Oh, Locke.
Oh, that's an unfortunate time for that dash turn.
Yeah. It's so easy to do, like, especially like if your controller is a little bit wonky. Just dashing the wrong way by accident. Humbug now on to Aga 2. Ooh, blue balled, so not going to get the 3 cycle.
Yeah, it's really interesting how close this race has managed to be in spite of all the different things that have happened here.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, I mean, Locke did catch up a little bit by not doing right side of GT Basement.
Yeah, now Humbug will have a little bit of an advantage here, just having the safety of the cape in case things get a little out of hand. But so far, he's opening the fight pretty solidly, getting 5 spins in the first 2 cycles. Yeah, 5 spins.
Oh, this is a great position.
Yeah.
He's going to switch to the cape now. Ganon being pretty cooperative with these positions.
And Humbug using the invincibility to get doubles here. That's very good.
He's got to be careful, though. Down to 2 hearts now. So he's going to use the cape wall grab glitch. I don't know. There's probably a better name for it, but basically we grab a wall. When you have the cape active, it doesn't drain any magic.
So it looks like Humbug's posting and very quickly going over to Berna. It's going to create a little lag, but it's going to keep him alive.
Yeah. The reason he would go for Berna there is because the cape doesn't activate immediately after menuing. You have to wait like a half a second or something. That half a second could be the difference between life or death.
Yeah, fortunately, Humbug is now through the hard part. Everything else is just tedium and just making sure to keep your cool and not slip into a fire bat.
So Humbug just needs to not slip up here. Oh no, Locke takes a death, and he does have a fairy. Okay.
So with both of their sets of respective safeties, this is looking to continue to be a tight race. I think Humbug is likely to hold this advantage here. He's positioning himself very well, so it's unlikely he's going to take that unfortunate slip that we all want to see avoided, I'm sure.
Yeah. Locke now on to phase 3.
Humbug's getting very close to the finish here.
And should we? I haven't been counting. Oh, there it is. Okay. And that
So
is
with
Ganon
that-
down.
All that remains is to walk across the bridge, and so this is a great time to get your GGs in chat for Humbug.
And Humbug has crossed the finish line with an official time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 46 seconds. And he will take a 2-0 victory in this series, and he'll move on to face Chimo in the winner's bracket of this group. Locke, meanwhile, will be facing Brewers fan JP in the losers bracket. But
I expect that's going to lead to a lot of exciting races.
Yeah.
All of these runners have shown a lot of skill so far, especially in this race. Both of them managing to sub 130 this in spite of everything.
Yeah, really well done race by both runners. Just really just a few little things making the difference. There was no real big play that set them apart. Oh, looks like we do have Humbug in the commentator booth. GG.
Yeah, thank you, GG.
So a sword hunt seed, always fun.
Yeah. With the locations of the swords, I heard I talked to Locke, and the fact that there was a sword in GT Big Chest, that must have made chat completely wild.
That was pretty interesting. It's not too often you get go mode in the GT Big Chest in a normal seed. Anyway.
In a normal seed, right?
Yeah, but very close race. Yeah, like looks like Locke is in the waiting room, so he should be here soon. But I was gonna say, I mean, Locke did a really good job of keeping this close. It seemed like you guys were much further apart earlier on. And Locke has joined us. GG's Locke.
Thank you.
GG Locke.
GG. I can't believe I was bailed out by that sword.
that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, that was such a great moment. I believe I was saying you so rarely get to see someone actually get their go mode item from the GT Big Chest, at least in these modes.
Yeah. So as I was just saying to Humbug, it seemed earlier on in the race that Humbug had a pretty substantial lead. Like he was basically like a dungeon ahead of Locke. But Locke, I guess skipping a few extra things, kind of caught up a little bit. Like, didn't do right side GT, and skipped Mimic Cave and Turtle Rock Big Chest, and that didn't hurt him because he got the GT sword. So that all kind of worked out.
Yeah, pre-meds, for the most part, you two were just about neck and neck. A couple things did work out Humbug's favor, having not done the Catfish, Pyramid Ledge, those kind of moves. As well as just happening to get the mirror before ever heading to the Eastern Palace area. You were able to combo those two dungeons just about as efficiently as could be.
That felt really good, since I went to Hype Cave before checking. Like I got my Dark World access before checking Bonk Rocks, meaning I went Hype Cave, got my mirror, just did Swamp up to Digging Game, saved and quit, and was intending to go up the mountain to sequence break the mountain. But then I got a bow and was, hey, there are more efficient things that I can do now, and this feels great because I bet that Locke probably got that bow before his glove.
Yeah, he actually ran out of Thieves' Hideout and went straight to Bong Rocks, and then came back to finish off Kakariko.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just one of those, if it had a flute, activate it while you're there, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense, getting the mirror, being able to do both of those together.
I did have the pleasure of doing the menu Argus fight, though. That was fun. Because I didn't have a sword at the time, since I hadn't been to Pod. And that was the only sword accessible outside of Mimic Cave.
Sure was.
Yeah.
No, that was the only sword accessible to us. All other swords were locked by the sword.
Right. Again, you need a sword to get into Turtle Rock. Wow, we just talked about this. Yeah, that was the sword, and then you had to get the one in Mimic Cave, or the cape in GT, or the one in the big chest of GT to get the one on Lumberjack. Wow.
Yeah, I was fully ready to do either one after GT if needed for that sword.
Yeah.
And then GT Big Chest was like, here you go. I'm like, cool. This is great.
So, Locke, you put off the South Shore for a very long time. I think it was like the 40-minute mark when you did Mini Mulderm Cave. Any thoughts on that?
for the people that at least know me and watch, they know I'm dumb. So it's like, all right, you know what? I got this bow. Gonna go straight over to Eastern. Got Dark World Access. Gonna do that. Gonna be pod. Went to Hype Cave. Got the mirror. I'm like the mountain. The mountain's got my stuff. And then the mountain had nothing. So I was like, oh, I guess I gotta go do South Shore finally.
So from your perspective, that really did make a lot of sense because you already had a lot of stuff in terms of inventory. So it made sense to think that maybe some of the earlier techs would have been empty. They just happened not to be.
I mean, only one of them had something basically, and that was, I guess, two, because Mini Mulder with the hook shot. I started with the flippers.
Yeah. So another interesting point was when both of you finally headed to the Village of Outcasts area. You both went north to Skullwoods first, and I was just wondering, kind of what fueled that decision for each of you.
I was still 3 items from Go mode, Mit's flute and a sword, and I figured that there's no way all 3 of them is in Thieves Town or Village of Outcasts, right? I have the fire rod. I can beat Mothia Lights, the green pendant. Let's just do it. Well, that's how that was my reasoning. If I had been like 1 item from Go mode, I would have probably not done. I would have not done Mothula. For sure, I probably would have done the front of Skullwoods, but not the rest.
Yeah.
All right, sensible. And how about you, Locke? How was that moment going for you?
I think I probably still would have killed Moth only because it was the green pendant. If it was a different pendant, I probably wouldn't have, but knowing it could be a potential of 2 items in one, I was just gonna kill it, because I mean, Hammer Fire Rod Moth isn't that bad, but I never did end up checking the green pendant, because then I went to Thieves Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thieves Town ended up being quite a big deal this time. So with that, it was kind of an interesting spot to be in. But the green pendant did seem like it had that sort of draw to it this time, with how there were a lot of items quickly, and then things sort of dried up.
And with the fire rod in Escape, I have noticed. Well, it might just be like something that's completely false. I don't know honestly, but it feels like Escape a lot of the time has like progression that leads to progression. So I was actually playing on the fire rod being leading to something other than Turtle Rock.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Either way, that was an interesting point, and seeing you both go the same way kind of made it more exciting, because 2 were just very close to each other, more or less through just about all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun, nerve-wracking race. It was. I was sweating bullets on the Ganon fight. I have no idea what I was doing. I was just, well, let's do this as slowly as possible. Apparently, that was my strat.
Well, it was good enough this time, that's for sure.
Yeah, thank God for the cape and compass room. Haha, I got it.
Oh, I didn't need cape. I didn't need a burner.
Yeah.
I did a crowd control like 2 hours ago and had a very interesting Ganon fight. I was ready for this.
Alright, so with that, each of you now at this point knows who your week 2 opponents are. Do you have any general thoughts about your next part of the competition?
Honestly, I know that Chimo is my next opponent, but the thing with this group is I think that all 4 of us are really, really close together in skill of the game. Anyone can make it through this group. It's just a matter of not actually who plays who, but rather like who has the better seed when we do play.
Yeah, I'd say overall that's a good mindset. It seems like there have been so many good races in this tournament already, and you just never quite know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So, I guess we can start to wrap things up. Any of you guys have any other final thoughts?
I can't believe Turok was actually a crystal.
That's true, yeah.
Oh
we
yeah,
had
with those
both-
rods.
Both rods in this game.
I can't believe we're back to Crystal. I was fully ready to just be like, yeah, Rux pendant, don't care. And then I check my map, I'm like, why? Why is it not actually a nice rod hunt?
This is wrong.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess with that, I do want to mention that there's quite a lot of races going on today. They're going to be all over the various Speed Gaming channels. The next one that has a restream assigned is at 8:10. So that'd be what? In like 2 hours, I guess. That's between Shady Force and 2C. And then there's one at 9:40 between Rywek and Mac and X. Several more this morning. There's like a bunch of races in the afternoon and a few in the evening. Lots of actions all day today. So, yeah. I do want to take a moment to shout out to our tracker, Blast Egg, doing a great job for us today. And of course, shout out to my co-com, Sailor Nep.
Absolutely, it's been a lot of fun. We had an exciting race to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, and I think that's going to do it for us. But as I said, lots of Link to the Past action going on all day today, all week. So stay tuned.